Have a look.
No, thank you.
Oh no, I want to talk to you.
No,
Come
thank
on.
you. If you keep coming towards me, I'll defend myself. Stay back.
Defend yourself.
Stay back.
Defend yourself.
Let's try it then. Let's try it. Stay back. I'm telling you now, stay back.
Yes, it's another review of DJ Audits. I'm clearly obsessed with the man and those sexy green tracky bottoms. Oh! This time he's at Garden Studios in London, which is the location of the Big Brother house. I must admit that Big Brother is not really my thing and I don't know much about it. I don't have a TV anyway and haven't done for something like 30 years, but I've done some research and got myself up to speed. Over to DJ Audits.
Now, you may not know it, but this year's Big Brother is located in a warehouse on an industrial estate. You wouldn't have thought it, would you? But right next to a fire station.
That's handy for chasing fire engines. Sorry, I couldn't resist it.
Here on Waxlow Road.
Waxlow Road is a publicly maintained highway, so apart from standing in the middle of a road and trying to get himself run over, which I've come to realise is a thing DJ Audits likes to do, as well as launching and landing his drone in the middle of a pavement, let's not forget. Apart from all that, he's not doing anything wrong at the moment, just give it time now.
Alright,
Yes, thanks.
need some help?
Oh, what are you offering?
Yeah, what you offering, big boy? Let's see what you got, is what I imagine DJ Audits was going to say.
Well, it could be good. I might be able to help you, I might not.
Oh, I weren't expecting any cooperation. I'm just making a video from the outside.
Looks like this man is security. I'm not clear if he's purposefully come out for DJ Audits or he just happened to be there and spotted him. I suppose it makes no difference either way.
Okay.
I'm an industrial estate YouTuber, so just the fact that you've got this set on an industrial estate,
Okay.
it comes into my niche market.
Don't worry.
And what I do, I take the drone around, I get some aerial footage on every single video that I make. I tell the viewers what I can see from the outside, and then I'll be gone. 20 minutes, I'll be gone.
Okay, no worries.
All right.
Thank you.
That's fair enough really as far as it goes, but again, to be strict about it, DJ Audits is subject to data protection. He still isn't registered as a data controller with the ICO, which means he remains subject to a potential fine, as failure to register is a regulatory offence under Regulation 2 of the Data Protection Charges and Information Regulations 2018. Some people will reply to this and say that it's no great shakes and all the ICO will do is send an advisory letter requesting registration. But DJ Audits' channel on YouTube has currently 141,000 subscribers. It's a big channel with thousands of views for every video, and this video currently has 386,000 views on DJ Audits' channel. Such a person does risk being fined by the ICO. What we've just seen is that DJ Audits has captured a facial image of that man at his presumed place of work, which is personal data as defined in Article 4 of the UK GDPR, which means DJ Audits is now processing his personal data. And DJ Audits has broadcast this man's face without his consent, and without, as far as I can see, any reason to do so that could justify it. Why haven't you blurred out his face? What has he done to you to deserve that? I appreciate that some of the people who are shown in these videos don't care about appearing on social media, and for all I know that may include this man, but we can't assume that, and DJ Audits should not assume that. DJ Audits has also not provided this man with all of the information required under Article 13.1 and notification of his rights as a data subject as required under Article 13.2. Even if DJ Audits can argue that his photographic activity falls within the Special Purposes Exemption, you note that he still has to justify each bit of personal data processed. He can't just lazily rely on a sweeping generalised exemption that doesn't exist except in his own head. He's not a journalist or carrying out journalism anyway, and he's not a photographer. He's just a YouTuber looking for a reaction to his filming. If he was legitimate, he would go about what he's doing entirely differently. Basically, DJ Audits needs to rethink how he goes about all this. What he could do is just turn the camera away from people who he doesn't need to film, or he could just blur them out, ensuring that where he doesn't blur a person's face, he has a bona fide reason for not doing so that relates to whatever is the aim of a video, and he should attempt to provide any data subject with the information they are entitled to. Let's watch on. I'm going to jump ahead now. If you want to watch the full footage, please go to DJ Audits channel. The link is in the description. It's not that I want to promote his channel, you understand. I'm just obeying informal rules of courtesy as well as copyright law. I've noticed that there's a 5G phone mast near to the building that DJ Audits is visiting, but looking at the mast, I can't see a microwave dish there, so presumably it's underground fibre optic cables that act as what's called transmission and backhaul, meaning that the risk to drones ought to be relatively low. My understanding anyway from briefly researching the issue is that masts pose limited to non-existent risk to drones, and it should not be an issue in any case. I assume that DJ Audits will be maintaining a good distance between his drone and the phone mast anyway. The panel antennae on the mast shouldn't affect his drone, but technically it is possible they could. He should be staying well away from that phone mast with his drone really, and certainly not trying to inspect it. As he's walking along the pavement past the front of the building, there's a temporary pedestrian sign you can see, and he seems to ignore it, and the security guard says nothing to him about it. But he's not doing anything legally wrong there, because the sign is purely a work sign. It's of no legal effect because there's no regulatory sign with it prohibiting pedestrians along that way. Specifically, to have general legal effect as a prohibition would require that the sign complies with the specification for sign number 22 in Part 2 of Schedule 3 of the Traffic Signs Regulations and General Directions 2016, which we see here. Not sure why that sign's there, to be honest. It looks like there are some roadworks going on, but it's much further down the road. Maybe it's to allow people to cross it early to help visibility with traffic. Back to the footage. He has a mooch around at the front of the building. As I say, I will be skipping parts of it.
Send a message. If you can come outside just for a quick minute, please.
DJ Audits is using a scanner to listen to radio communications by security. For those who don't know, a radio scanner is a receiver that can automatically tune, or scan, 2 or more discrete frequencies. In simple terms, that means it can listen in on radio communications. You don't need a license for a scanner as long as it's only a radio receiver. If it also transmits, you may need a license, but I'm going to assume that what he's using there is just a receiver. Is it legal for him to use a scanner to listen in on communications between security guards? The general position in UK law is that anyone who intentionally and without necessary authorisation intercepts communications in the UK may be committing a criminal offence. Typically, receivers and scanners can only be legally used for what is called general reception, which is licensed broadcasting stations and hobby radio. Some business and private radio communications are considered to be for general reception, regardless of the intentions of the parties. An example would be, as I say, hobby radio. In Britain we call it amateur radio. It's known as ham radio in the United States, and we sometimes call it that here in Britain as well. A conversation on amateur radio is private, but it is also for general reception, so anybody could legally listen in, just in the same way that they could listen to a radio station from the BBC or wherever. Same applies to a conversation on CB radio. As long as the CB is being operated legally, it doesn't matter how private that conversation is. The law treats it as being for general reception, so anybody can listen in. Radio communications between security guards would not usually fall into the general reception category. I say not usually because sometimes they will. It will happen sometimes that a security team will communicate using CB radio, but it's going to be rare that you see that nowadays, and I doubt any of the security guards in this situation are using CB radios, as it would be a practical hindrance to them. I think they'll be using two-way radios in the form of walkie-talkies. They're clearly using the radios unlicensed and on a public frequency, so it is a public transmission, but that does not necessarily mean it's meant for general reception. There is a distinction between the two things, and this is what I think may be at the root of DJ Audits' misunderstanding. Just because you can listen in using a receiver doesn't follow that it's legally permissible to listen in. To reiterate, the central point is this: the test of whether listening in on a public transmission is legal depends on whether that transmission is meant for general reception. Business communications over a walkie-talkie are not meant for general reception. A walkie-talkie is not a CB radio or amateur radio transceiver, and common sense tells us that security staff will not intend that ordinary members of the public can have a listen. Section 48(1) of the Wireless Telegraphy Act 2006 states this: a person commits an offence if, without lawful authority, A. He uses wireless telegraphy apparatus with intent to obtain information as to the contents, sender or addressee of a message, whether sent by means of wireless telegraphy or not, of which neither he nor a person on whose behalf he is acting is an intended recipient, or B. He discloses information as to the contents, sender or address of such a message. In other words, it is an offence to purposefully intercept and receive radio signals that are not intended for you or the public, and it is an offence to act on any information so received, unless you are doing so with either the authority of the parties involved or a licence from Ofcom. In this case, DJ Audits has neither. If he had done this accidentally, I personally would not consider that to be an offence, because I don't believe that was the intention behind the legislation. There's a clear reference to the need for intent as an element of the offence. Someone who does this accidentally would retune their receiver to another legal frequency. It only becomes intentional if the operator does not do that, and here we see that DJ Audits has done this on purpose. I think DJ Audits is here committing two offences under Section 48 in that he's both intentionally obtaining information and he's disclosing it through broadcast on YouTube. This is why I've decided that I will mute out what we can hear on the radio just to be on the safe side. I should add, to be fair, you don't hear much anyway, but that's not really the point. My understanding is that typically Section 48 is hardly ever enforced in practice due to the triviality of most circumstances, but here we are dealing with somebody who has broadcast himself committing the offence to a large YouTube channel, so it is a bit different. I haven't caught a look yet of the radios being used by security. If we do see them, I may have more to say on the topic.
Well, the drone's not a problem, is it?
Might be.
Now's your opportunity to talk to me about it.
No, someone's coming out.
Oh, someone's coming. All right, no problem.
You know someone's coming about the drone. You've just been listening into them saying that with your scanner. Sorry that you can't hear that, you the viewer, but that's exactly what he's just been listening to in the earlier clip.
So we've got the site across the road as well. So that's is it Orchid or Orchid?
I'm not sure.
It's got a H, so I'll say Orchid.
Where I come from, it's Orchid.
Have you never had to say the word? No.
Maybe he's just trying to start a conversation with him.
Orchid, stage 1, across the road at number 14.
That would be Orchid, stage 1, to the rest of us. I know he's been knocking about with Marti lately. Something's catching. Or it must be that it's pronounced differently where DJ Audits comes from.
And stage 2 and 3 over here at 21.
Did you get a lot of followers?
Let's just see how it's handled first before I get too friendly with you.
Well, you were asking him about how to pronounce orchid. That sounded like a friendly overture to me. Make up your mind.
Because they might all come out and say, go away or whatever, you know. And here's me being friendly with you and I'll regret it, won't I? I'll tell you at the end, yeah?
Why would you regret being friendly? I don't understand you, DJ Audits. You're a strange man. You're a mystery with your green tracky bottoms.
Runner number 5.
I'm sorry about this. I'm hoping something exciting happens soon. Maybe a laughing policeman with a bazooka. A troupe of dwarves dancing to Elton John's Rocket Man. Anything will do though. Just some scintillating conversation would improve things. We've covered orchids. We've ticked that box. Something else?
I couldn't quite see what his laptop said. He had it open, but he didn't have it open quite enough. Look at the zoom on this though.
Oh,
Look at that. You can even read her ID.
breach of privacy, no?
I'm not sure that's appropriate, zooming in on anybody, but especially a lady staff member. I do wonder about you, DJ Audits. He mentioned just now about somebody's laptop being open, but that person is obviously not expecting somebody to be around with a camera filming him to try and see what's on his laptop. It's a bit silly, really. There are occasions when auditors are correct about this aspect of data protection, and their videos show a neglect of the necessary security procedures by businesses, companies and public bodies to ensure data protection, but usually it's just the auditor zooming in on something which in itself will typically be a breach of data protection or privacy, as we've just seen. Why on earth anyway would you want to read her ID, and why are you trying to zoom in and film her personal information? You've already got her face, which in my opinion is too much in itself, but isn't that enough for you? The security guard is of course right. This is an attempted breach of privacy and data protection. She's at her workplace, so the fact it's in public is irrelevant.
She's not covered it.
Maybe she should cover it, but that is not an excuse for you to film it.
Zoom the camera thing.
Yeah, you've got to be prepared. What do you think paparazzi do? With their zoom cameras, what do you think the paparazzi do?
And paparazzi are often in breach of data protection and privacy laws, and often face claims in court. It's not a good comparison to make. It doesn't bode well that you're trying to justify yourself with reference to those people.
This is exactly this. You don't have no privacy in public, mate. You ever seen them zoom in on the Prime Minister's paperwork in the budget? You know, that red box? Next thing you know, it's all leaked over the news what he had in his paperwork.
And the court could potentially prevent publication of such a story and images. But the newspaper or media organisation would have a possible defence of journalism because they are availed of the exemption in Part 5, Schedule 2 of the Data Protection Act 2018, known as the Special Purposes Exemption. Let's take a look at the exemption again. The Special Purposes Exemption is important because it would mean DJ Audits does not have to demonstrate a legitimate interest to film and broadcast people's faces and other personal data, and the individuals captured on film would not have the rights of a data subject, or at least would not have most of the rights. The justification for the Special Purposes Exemption would also potentially provide the basis of a defence for a case of for a breach of privacy brought either by an individual or by any company responsible for the activities at the building. So what I'm about to explain is central to the legality or otherwise of DJ Audit's YouTube activities. When we look at the Special Purposes Exemption, what we see is that there are two requirements. First, for the exemption to apply, the data controller has to believe that publication is in the public interest. Second, for the exemption to apply, the data controller has to show that the rights and interests of the data subject would hinder his special purpose in photographing people and confidential information, or showing us his photographic audit or whatever. What it boils down to is whether it's in the public interest for individuals to be identified and information to be leaked. Personally, I don't see it. I think DJ Audits is infringing that lady's privacy that he zoomed in on earlier, and also the privacy of this security guard. There's no reason why you and I need to know who she is or be able to potentially identify her. As for any confidential information that DJ Audits could capture, I suppose it would depend, to be fair, on what the information is, but this is not a public body, it's a private film set, and so the need for both commercial privacy and individual privacy is likely to weigh heavily in considerations.
Hello, are you filming?
Yeah, I'm filming.
What for?
Just YouTube. Just a YouTube creator.
Oh, okay, cool. Are you wanting to get something particularly here, or?
What I normally do, I focus on industrial estates, so not specifically for...
Okay, fine, so not for the studios.
Well, I am.
Yeah.
Because you've located yourself in an industrial estate, it's in my niche.
Okay.
Oddly, halfway through that clip, he decided to start blurring out their faces. It's an improvement from a legal standpoint, but I'm not sure why he didn't just blur out their faces all the way through. Why only part way through?
So there's certain things that I do on every video, and I'll just be following the same format.
Okay, what's your page?
What are you offering? Are you offering?
No, I'm not. I'm just.
Oh,
I'm
right,
just,
okay. Being nosy.
Yeah.
Like me,
wondering, yeah.
I'm being nosy on your site, you're being nosy.
Yeah.
I told him I will tell you the page at the end.
Yeah.
I will tell somewhere, but not yet.
Keeping it a surprise.
Because I've not really, we're still getting people asking me questions. I don't know how professional you guys are yet, so...
That's irrelevant to your professionalism. You are a paid content creator, and that comes with certain duties and obligations, whether you like it or not.
Let's not get too friendly.
Well, I look after the press, you see. That's
Oh, do you?
why I'm asking. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
head of press for the programme, so
Right.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah, there's certain, as I said, there's certain things that I look at and highlight on every video. One of them is the SIA licence, a blue badge that they have to display by law. I can't see these two wearing it just yet. You do have one, yeah?
For some reason, partway through that, he stopped blurring their faces. I've no idea why. Of course, I've continued with the blurring.
Yours is visible, yours is not. It just has to be on display by law.
Yeah, but listen, yeah.
Hold on, I'm talking.
Listen.
See what I mean? We're getting there, aren't we?
Listen.
True colours.
You need to be calm, yeah? You can't just come to...
I agree with DJ Audits that it is a legal requirement that they should have the SIA badges on display. I covered the law on this in a previous video. Let's go through it here again. First, subsection 91C of the Private Security Industry Act 2001 states this: the power of the Secretary of State to prescribe the conditions on which a licence must be granted, and the power of the SIA to impose additional conditions for such a licence shall include power to prescribe or impose c. conditions imposing obligations as to the production and display of the licence. Subsection 9.2 states as follows: the conditions that may be prescribed or imposed in relation to any description of licence may include conditions imposing obligations on a licensee by reference to requirements made or directions given by the authority. That refers to the SIA. And subsection 9.4 makes it an offence to breach the conditions of an SIA licence. Any person who contravenes the conditions of any licence granted to him shall be guilty of an offence and liable on summary conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or a fine not exceeding level 5 on the standard scale, or to both. For the up-to-date conditions the 2001 Act refers to, we need to look at the Private Security Industry Act Licences Regulations 2007. Regulation 5 contains the statutory licence conditions, and paragraph 3 states what the conditions are. Subparagraph A of Regulation 5.3 states this: the licensee shall display the licence on his person at all times he is engaged in any licensable conduct, unless 1. the licence is in the possession of the authority, 2. its loss or theft has been notified in accordance with subparagraph B, or 3. paragraph 4 applies. So now we need to look at paragraph 4. Let's do that. Paragraph 4 states, this paragraph applies on any occasion where the licensee A. engages in licensable conduct which does not relate to activities specified in Regulation 4.4b or c, i.e. immobilisation, restriction and removal of vehicles. B. can demonstrate that the nature of that conduct on that occasion requires that he not be immediately identifiable as someone engaging in such conduct. C. carries his licence on his person, and D. is able to produce it on request. To make sense of subparagraph A, we obviously need to look at Regulation 4.4b and c. Let's do that. Regulation 4.4 states, the activities specified for the purposes of this paragraph are activities which fall within the following paragraphs of Schedule 2 to the 2001 Act. A. Paragraph 2, manned guarding. B. Paragraph 3, immobilisation of vehicles. C. Paragraph 3a, restriction and removal of activities. D. Paragraph 6, key holders. And E. Paragraph 8, door supervisors, etc. for public houses, etc. You can see that B and C are the immobilisation and restriction and removal activities, and the relevant provisions related to these to both those sections have been repealed by Section 28 of the Protection of Freedoms Act 2012. In view of all this, the position can be summarised as follows. The security guard does not have to show or display his SIA badge to anyone where the nature of his activity requires that he is not immediately identifiable as someone engaging in such conduct. If he is engaging in such activity, he still needs to have the SIA badge on his person and be able to produce it on request. If he is not engaging in the activity defined in paragraph 4b of Regulation 5, he does have to display the SIA badge on his person, and not to do so is a criminal offence. But nowhere in the regulations does it say he must produce the badge on request or show it to anyone, except that paragraph 3f does stipulate the condition that he must produce it to a constable or the SIA. On the letter of the law, the security guard on the right there is committing an offence contrary to section 9.4 of the Private Security Industry Act 2001 by not displaying his licence on his person, and the SAA could prosecute him. But would he have a defence, and is he really doing anything wrong? I think he would have a defence, and I don't believe he is doing anything wrong. Why would I think that? Well, let me show you a few clips.
Let's have a look what's on this computer screen then, since he's left it on.
Call the authorities.
I'm going to call the authorities. There's loads of passes and stuff down here. We've got signing in information just here. Got a notepad here with phone numbers on. Don't be making any prank calls, would you guys? That'd be a bit annoying.
It does have some personal information there.
Yeah, these personal information there as well. We've got badges and stuff, visitor badges. Yeah, signing. Oh, we've got stuff here as well. Look.
Oh, this is the contract.
Wow, these are really slack on GDPR, you know.
No, unauthorised use of photographic.
So are you.
Think that get your fucking hand off me. Hands off. Hands off, right? Do not put your hands on me. Touch me again and I will defend myself to my fullest ability. Do you understand?
Yeah, sure.
Right, good.
One thing you might not have picked up on there, and that I should point out, is that the security guard took off his ID badge before confronting Marti Blagborough and DJ Audits. He was wearing a lanyard while in the office, and that was missing when he came out.
Oh, he's got his radio out, has he? Turning his badge round.
Hello.
Hiya.
Listen, Mohammed, calm down.
You don't know my name.
It's on your ID badge there, so don't tell me I don't know your name. I've just zoomed into it.
But don't zoom into
I'm going to put it on YouTube for you, okay?
The defence I have in mind would rely on Article 8.1 of the Human Rights Act 1998, which protects the right to a private and family life. I've taken a look at the Security Industry Authority's own guide to enforcement of the relevant laws and regulations, and I note that not once is the Human Rights Act mentioned. Nevertheless, they are a public authority, as is the court, and are required to have regard for the rights set out in the Human Rights Act. What the defence I will outline boils down to is the novelty of auditing activity, or what I will call, alternately, unlawful intrusive media, for which the letter of the law cannot adequately account because it predates social media. The nearest equivalent from the past are the old paparazzi, a style of intrusive freelancer photographer who sold photographs to tabloid magazines and newspapers. The difference today is that the media used are a more permanent and accessible form than magazines and newspapers. Let's consider again what a YouTube auditor does. When an auditor films people, he's filming people up close at their place of work and without regard for privacy or data protection. The security guard sees the auditor approach and is expected to confront him. Whether or not the security guard knows he's an auditor as such is irrelevant to the point, which is that the security guard will see in front of him somebody continuously filming a location without any obvious stated purpose or proof of background and bona fides. That's odd behaviour at the least, and he may have concerns about guarding his own privacy. He can't guard his privacy completely because he has to show his face to confront the auditor, so he knows that his personal data will be captured because, remember, in this context, an image of someone's face will typically be considered personal data under Article 4 of the UK GDPR. And the security guard knows that it will be clear that he is overtly operating as a security guard. Nevertheless, he may have a reasonable fear that if he displays his SIA badge, this will amount to or enable a further infringement of his privacy. This further infringement could take several forms. First, there have been cases in the past of auditors filming SAA badges and other personal and private data up close. I've just shown you examples. Second, if an image of the SAA badge is broadcast, there is always a possibility that somebody could examine the image to extract information on the badge. Third, the simple fact that a security guard is an SAA licensed individual could be considered private in some context because it adds to the identifiable data available on that person where his or her face is shown in a video. Fourth, not all security operatives are required to be licensed. The belief that they are is a common misconception, as there is an exemption from the licensing arrangements for authorised employers under Section 4 of the 2001 Act, and a licensed security guard may be concerned that to give out additional information is a further infringement of his privacy that could be acted on by the auditor or someone else with a grudge. The way the SAA address points like this is to say that the requirement in paragraph 3A of Regulation 5 is only to display the badge, not to show or produce it to anybody. Indeed, the only requirement to produce a badge is in paragraph 3F, which applies only if the request is from a constable or the SAA themselves. However, it seems to me that this distinction between display and show is in many situations a distinction without a difference. Marti Blagborough has proved this because he zoomed in on SAA badges and filmed them, and so has DJ Audits himself. Cameras have zoom functions and auditors are intrusive, and I think the activities of people like Marti Blagborough and other auditors create a legitimate fear on the part of SAA licensed personnel that if they display their badges it makes it that bit easier to identify them, either using a zoom function or simply by using the fact that the individual is SAA licensed to assist a deduction as to his or her identity. The overarching point here is that the way the law is interpreted for unlawful intrusive media has to be different. Going back to our scenario with DJ Audits, following my reasoning, if the Security Industry Authority, the SAA, did decide to take some sort of enforcement action against this security guard for breach of paragraph 3F of Regulation 5, his response should be to challenge this action on the basis that under Section 6 of the Human Rights Act 1998, the SAA as a public body must have regard to Article 8 of Schedule 1 to the Human Rights Act 1998, which provides for a right to a private and family life. If the SAA were to bring a private prosecution against this security guard in the criminal courts for breach of a condition that he must display his licence, then this too could be challenged on the same basis of Article 8 rights. Either the decision to prosecute could be challenged by judicial review, or the Article 8 rights could form a defence. Basically, the security guard will be arguing that he did not want to be filmed by somebody who does not respect data protection, and that wearing an SAA badge will further aid unlawful personal identification. One possible difficulty that could be encountered with this defence is found in Article 8.2, which states this: "There shall be no interference by a public body with the exercise of this right except such as is in accordance with the law and is necessary in a democratic society in the interests of national security, public safety or the economic well-being of the country, for the prevention of disorder or crime, for the protection of health or morals, or for the protection of the rights and freedoms of others." In taking regulatory or criminal action against a security guard, the SAA would be upholding the law, in particular paragraph 3F of Regulation 5, which requires that the security guard display his SAA badge at all times. Of relevance to that argument will be Article 17 of Schedule 1 to the Human Rights Act, which forbids public authorities, including courts and bodies like the SAA, from applying the Convention rights in a way that limits those rights to a greater extent than provided for. The court would therefore have to decide whether the right of privacy, if it is made out in this case, should override the SAA licence condition in the particular circumstances of a licensed individual having to deal with an auditor. I think it should. I think the security guard's privacy is far more important than the right of some tedious bore to go around finger wagging at people while filming it for social media. The only thing that would change my mind is if it could be shown that DJ Audits had a genuine interest in covering the problem of security guards who do not adhere to their licence conditions by displaying their badges, and I'm not convinced of that. I don't think the auditor or any auditor on social media is there with a public interest in mind, or even just with a genuine interest in industrial sites. He's not a customer of a business. He doesn't have any proper purpose there. His purpose is just to generate conflict and provoke a reaction, and he doesn't keep to the law himself. He shows no concern for the privacy of others, for one thing. That surely puts the actions of a security guard in a wholly different light, a more sympathetic light. But it would be up to the court, and I'm certainly not suggesting that human rights arguments should be a magic formula for evading duties and responsibilities. But there are circumstances such as this where non-compliance may be for a specific justifiable reason, such as the presence on or near site of somebody who wants to film. In circumstances such as those, human rights can inform public decisions, such as decisions to prosecute, in a way that better reflects human realities. The point is that it's not as straightforward as auditors want people to believe. Some people listening to this may argue that the security guard's non-compliance could not be proven without filming, but it can, because DJ Audits could have arranged to film with consent or for a justifiable reason first. For example, one can imagine a hypothetical scenario in which a business visitor only commences filming when he has an issue with that security guard and notices the security guard doesn't have his badge on display. DJ Audits doesn't fall into that category, in my opinion, for the reasons given. Obviously, no security guard would run through all these complex points in his mind as such. We're talking about a judgment made on the spot in extreme circumstances in which he realises that his privacy may be further compromised if he displays his SIA badge and so takes action to protect himself. Normally this would not be an adequate justification because he's already carrying out his security role overtly, so the SIA badge does not add anything, but here it would because he's being filmed personally and up close without justification while he's carrying out his duties. It is not a normal photography situation. In summary, I think that the security guard is doing nothing wrong in refusing to display his SIA badge to someone who turns up filming with no regard for anyone's privacy. The law is important and I'm not condoning breaking the law, but sometimes we have to relax the letter of the law to allow for particular circumstances, and the law on this was first enacted in the early 2000s, prior to social media, and has not really caught up with the realities of intrusive consumer technology, including digital cameras and mobile phones and YouTube and Facebook and what have you. My sympathy is with the security guard here.
Come to the side.
You don't tell me what I need to be doing, mate, on a public footpath.
Capturing people around.
Yes, I
You know
can.
that's illegal without no permission.
You're joking. You really... And the SIA have taught you that?
Yeah.
That it's illegal to film people. You see what? This is not doing any good for PR. She was doing all right. You should have left it to her. Listen, my friend, I can film
polite with you.
anything from the public footpath. I do this all the time, including you, including her.
If I don't give permission, you can't video me. I don't need that.
Again, as we so often see in these videos, we have a situation of a public-facing security guard whose first language is not English, trying to handle a complex situation. However, I do side with the security guard on the law. In this case, he is right that DJ Audits needs permission to be collecting and processing personal data as he is. He doesn't need permission to film the building itself. As usual, DJ Audits is wrong. It may be that he can film anything he sees from the public highway, but if he goes around with that attitude, then he risks getting into legal trouble because other people have rights too.
I don't want to be in your media space.
Well, what have you come over here for then?
Because I just came to talk to you.
DJ Audits can't use this excuse that somehow the security guard consents to be filmed by speaking with him. The security guard has a job to do and is expected to act on DJ Audits' presence, even on the public highway, and this does not imply consent in these circumstances. There's nothing to stop DJ Audits from turning the camera away or blurring his face.
You are in the video. At the moment, you're the star of the show. You've spoke to me the most. You will be put on YouTube.
Clearly, DJ Audits won't be taking into account this man's objections. Quite apart from what the law says about this, I think it's very unfair because this man has been very civil and polite to him.
If you're capturing me without my permission,
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, I'm listening.
It's not a joke. Don't put me on your footage.
Is that a threat?
Get me? You can't come to people's site and be doing what you're not meant to be doing.
That's in your opinion. Not meant to be doing. Where you got that from? Are you making it up?
Listen. I'll be trying to be polite with you. You get me? You can't just come to people's space.
That's your opinion. It's not the law.
And be videoing randomly. I
Oh.
saw you capturing people where I was telling that you were even capturing me.
I'm recording right now. I'm zooming right in. I can go all the way down there. And this is what I do on every single video. You're coming out here on a public footpath trying to dictate to me what I can and cannot do.
DJ Audits gets away with this behaviour because companies and businesses that employ the staff he victimises don't bring legal action, and YouTube doesn't take action against his channel despite regular privacy complaints. It's not because the law is on his side, it's because the law is on holiday. He has been shown impunity, and in the face of impunity, people like this will continue to take liberties.
It's not even backed up by law. Are you making it up or what?
If you're in a public footpath, so you are not aligned to be zooming people. Get me? You can't be zooming me.
You're wrong.
I completely agree with the security guard. He is not wrong. In regard to DJ Audits activities at least, the security guard is right. Let me repeat an observation I've made previously. It's amusingly ironic that a foreign-born security guard whose first language is not English, and presumably having received only minimal training, seems to have a better understanding of the law than a native-born person. Remember, this native-born person purports to know the law and goes around telling people they're wrong.
If you go to the notice that we put outside, there's a notice there that if you have to sign like a permission before you can be on the footage.
I don't know what planet you're living on, my friend.
So good for you.
Good for me.
The security guard is now referring to a photographic consent or release. That will be required in these circumstances because DJ Audits has no justification to infringe the privacy of people he's capturing close up and identifying and then broadcasting on YouTube. It's not that there's any prior restraint to stop him, you'll understand, but it means that all these people can have the video taken down by YouTube, could complain to the Information Commissioner's office as well, who could take enforcement action, and these individuals could seek damages from DJ Audits if they believe their privacy has been compromised and they have suffered as a result.
Why don't you just get back on your site and get back to work?
I've spoken to you, but I'm telling you right now,
I'm finished.
I don't want to be on your footage, you get me?
I'm telling you, you are on the footage. You've walked in to my film set. I was here filming, you've walked into it.
Film set, eh? You mean like Charles Burnett or somebody like that? A real photographer or even YouTube filmmaker is unlikely to have this situation arise because he would simply tell them that he's a photographer and what he's doing and why, and that would probably be the end of the conversation. Not always. Photographers do encounter objections similar to this, but the attitude and motivations of a photographer greatly differ from an auditor, so any such problems are easier to resolve amicably because the whole mindset is different. It is legal to film on the public highway, no one is suggesting it isn't or shouldn't be, but only as long as you are not causing trouble in the process.
If you don't want to be on it anymore, back to work. I'm going to carry on the public footpath doing my video in peace, please. And you're breaking the law. No SIA license on display.
That's not your business.
What I'm doing is your business, yeah?
Listen, so why are you concerned about his SIA license? He's got his own SIA
I've just told
license.
the lady on every single one of my videos, I make sure certain things are complied
it's not
with.
for business, because I was even more calm to you to show you my SIA license. You can't be asking anyone if he's got his SIA license.
Watch this.
It's none of your business.
Watch this. Where are you going?
I don't know whatever you're showing me. I don't care.
This is the .gov.uk website. Look how rude he is. The .gov.uk website. You must wear your SIA license where it can be seen at all times.
He was in it.
No, he wasn't. You're a liar. I'm glad I didn't tell you the channel, because you're a liar. Why don't you just slot it in there, put it on display, and comply with the law?
He's clearly uncomfortable displaying his SIA licence to this nutcase, and personally, I don't blame him.
No, this guy.
Ignore you. That's what I should have done in the first place.
I've told you, you put me on footage, maybe you think because we're here.
Listen, my friend, you don't intimidate me. Whatever you have to say doesn't bother me, okay?
I can see that.
You are not the boss of me. Just remember that. I don't know. Oh, we're looking after you there. I was checking to see if this is giving off any harmful gases or radiation. Because you know what this is, don't you? You don't even know what it is, do you? Oh my God. All right, okay.
He's so charming, isn't he? So tactful. He clearly has some kind of superiority complex and enjoys talking down to people. Anyway, let's skip ahead.
But yeah, Garden Studios. You can see that this has got a cutout. This is a door of some sort. It's well hidden. And we have got some signs. I won't go in there. I'll just use the zoom.
Can you see what that says? DJ Audits needs to pay very close attention to that notice and how it's worded, because it applies in reverse to him. He would have to justify his activity on the same basis if he had any interest in complying with data protection. Of course he can't and won't.
Filming is taking place in this area. Right, okay. If you enter this area, you may be captured on film.
He doesn't read out the rest of it. He ought to do. I will read it all out now. Filming is taking place in this area. If you enter this area, you may be captured on film. The footage may be made publicly available worldwide in any media as part of the productions we make and promoting those productions. By entering this area, you will be deemed to agree to this. If you do not want to be filmed, please do not enter this area. If you are identifiable in this footage, we will process your personal data in accordance with our legitimate interests for the purpose of making, exploiting and promoting our productions. DJ Audits and all these other auditors, if they want to continue with their auditing activity and stay within the law, should be thinking about how to communicate something similar to people who could be captured in their footage. Anyway, let's watch on.
So this might be the entrance for launch night, eviction night. I'm not sure.
Hello there. How are you? You good?
Hey, what are you doing?
Sorry?
What are you doing?
What you see there straight away is that he's using walkie-talkies. I'll now show you an excerpt from a training video for security operatives, which gives you a clearer sense of how these devices work, just in case you're not familiar with them.
How to use the radio as part of your assessment for your SIA Dust Supervisors course. The first thing you need to know, if you're using this radio, you need to know what the message you want to pass across. You can't take the radio and start thinking of what to say. You already need to know what you are going to say. If you're using this kind of a radio, this is the transmission button here. This is the transmission button. That's it. Can you see it? Okay. Now, when you're using the radio, you need to place it 5 centimeters away from your mouth. So when you're talking, you release the transmission button so that the other person can use it and convey his or her own message through description. So now I'm going to demonstrate to you. In this case, I'm going to be the student. And my scenario is I see one female who is coming into the premises. And I want to check with the control room whether the person has permission to park in the premises. So in this case, I'm going to be the student and he's going to be my tutor. All right? So he's going to ask me the questions and I'm going to provide the answers. And I want you to follow me. Let's start.
My favorite student, please demonstrate how to use radio to communicate with your colleagues.
The first thing I'm going to do is to check the radio if it's working well and is fully charged. And I'm going to do a radio check with the control room to establish that we are on the same channel.
Please go ahead.
Control room. Control room. This is Cobra 1. Radio check. Over.
Receiving loud and clear. Over.
Yes, I've got an IC1 female in her 30s. She's wearing a black suit and she's driving a Bugatti black color. The registration number of the vehicle is Bravo Delta 15 Sierra Mike Romeo. Over.
Please give me a few minutes to confirm to you. Over.
Yes, the driver would like to park in the premises, so you can check for me whether she's allowed to park or not. Over.
Give me a few minutes to confirm to you. Over.
Received. Over.
Please can you allow her to park in the premises? Over.
Yes, thank you for that confirmation. I'm going to ask the driver to go ahead and park in the premises. Over and out. So that will be the end of the assessment. So all I ask is for you to use the IC code to describe the person and use phonetic alphabet for the registration number. Another scenario could be a visitor coming to the office to see one of the managers. So you use your IC code to describe the person who is visiting the manager and give the name of the person in phonetic alphabets. Thank you.
Back to DJ Audits.
I'm just walking around. Is that all right with you? Public football.
Well, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'm yet to decide on that one, my friend.
We're obviously concerned about what he's up to.
Hello.
DJ Audits is eavesdropping again on their radio communications. As already explained, in doing this, he is committing 2 offences contrary to Section 48 of the Wireless Telegraphy Act 2006.
So they're using the PMR frequency as well.
He's breaking the law. None of it's good, really. It is an offence just to receive with the intent to obtain information to which you're not entitled, which is what he's doing here. I've noticed that in radio circles there is a folk myth that circulates to the effect that it's legal to listen in as long as you don't act on the information. That's not correct. It is an offence just to receive and to therefore obtain the information, as long as the necessary intent can be proven. Not only that, he's also committing the offence under Section 48(1)(b) of disclosing by broadcasting it on YouTube for all the world. I'm sure the producers of Big Brother will be delighted. I'm amazed that the video is still up on his channel.
What did you think of him, eh? You got 2 radios. I've got the frequency of one of them.
I think we'd really rather not have that information. Thank you. Please just keep it to yourself.
Panic stations, look, panic stations.
It's not panic stations, it's just that these people are responsible for building security and you're acting strange and they're concerned to know who you are and what you're up to and just doing their jobs.
So it looks like they occupy all the units down the end here apart from Royal Mail, and I've not checked that one yet because over here we've also got Garden Studios through the window, look. So this is one.
Filming through windows, listening to your scanner, you're certainly showing them. Again, I'll skip ahead.
Is there anything I should know? Because you're acting very shady.
Just as shady as you.
Any concerns that you want to talk about? No? Okay. Well, at least I've made an attempt, yeah, to communicate.
That's fine.
So, I don't know what's going on, but...
You tell us what's going on with you then.
I've told your colleagues. I'm here to make a video about the place.
But they're
For my YouTube channel.
They're in-house security. Yeah, then.
Oh, they're not.
So they're two different types of people.
Should we start again then?
Well, we can
I'm a
start again.
YouTuber. I'm an industrial estate YouTuber. I've not been in this area before. It just so happens this is the Big Brother set. So it's in my niche, my little niche market that I've got on YouTube. So I'm just making a video. All my videos include a drone shot going around, but I won't go no lower than roof height. Simple as that.
Drone shots, yeah?
The drone will be going around at the end of my video. I'm just having a look what I can see.
Security.
Stand by, Ellie, stand by.
Copy that, thank you.
I'm just seeing what I can see from the public footpath. Any objections?
It's a public footpath.
Yeah, the drone?
The drone will be, but...
Go on, I'm listening.
Yes, I know it's a public footpath, so you can do anything in the air, but
So,
where you fly the drone is, you know, not... I'm saying over the show when people are out, we have to look into that one.
Yeah, I've got a great zoom on the camera anyway, so if there is crowds of people, then if I feel the people cannot move out the way if my drone fell, then I won't go over them. So I'll just go around the outside and use the zoom.
Right.
But it's an amazing place and it's going to be a great video for me. And I told your guy down there, I'll give you that at the end. Because if I give it you now, it might affect things. You might look at how many subscribers I've got and stuff like that. If it's a lot, you might treat me different to if it was less. You get what I'm saying? It influences decisions along the way. So I'll tell you that at the end.
We'll have to see if he does tell them at the end. I would have a concern about his proposal to fly a surveillance drone over their building and use his zoom camera. There's a possibility that could be considered interference with the land, therefore trespass. It's important to understand that a trespass can be committed without the trespasser actually entering the land. The requirement is only for interference in the land. Normally that could of course take the form of entering the land, but it does not have to. Up to now, I haven't made an issue of this in my reviews of drone auditing because it seems to me that if you can fly a drone over a building, you can photograph it. But strictly speaking, the photography should not interfere in the occupier's normal lawful use of a land, including the building. And I think it could if the auditor engages in zoom photography, including checking bins, which is what DJ Audits sometimes does. We'll see when we look at his drone flight, which is coming up.
Why can't you tell us now?
I've just told you. It might influence your decision of how you behave. Because say like if it had millions, you might come out and say, actually, while you're here, come on, let's be nice to you. But do you know what I'm saying though? That's my experience. So that's why I don't give it too soon. All right. Okay guys, so we've got over that little hiccup that we had there. So I'm going to carry on, all right?
So what you said, so you're going to fly the drone again, are you?
I've not done it yet. Why, you had a report that I've done it already?
I'm just asking the question, are you going to fly the drone again?
Again? I've not done it yet.
Right, okay.
I will be flying the drone gets put up at the end of every video, so nothing changes on my format.
Right, okay. And your name is, sorry?
I'll give you that at the end.
What can you give us now?
I've just explained, if I give it you too soon, the name is my YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see who I am. If I've got no following, you might treat me different to if I've got millions.
He's scanning their communications right in front of them. That seems like a pretty provocative thing to do, to me.
Wow, we've actually got a frequency for the staff inside. They're talking about the diary room.
I think he should have stopped, but I know he wouldn't. I'll skip on. He walks around a bit and does some vox pop while listening to his scanner. It's unbelievable, really.
So you can hear them asking everybody to stay off comms.
He says that as if he's proud of it. He's clearly interfering in their activities.
Yeah.
They finally realise that they're broadcasting on a public frequency and everybody can hear them.
Just to clarify, again, it's quite common for private security operatives to broadcast on public frequencies. That does not mean that the transmissions are intended for general reception in law. They're not. They are still private, and if you come across them, you have to change frequency. If you continue to listen, potentially you are committing an offence contrary to section 48(1)(a) of the Wireless Telegraphy Act 2006, as discussed.
Oh dear, like a circus, isn't it? I've got one following me here. SRM. My friend, oh, you don't want to talk, do you?
What's that?
What does SRM stand for? Oh, you're one of them, are you?
The worktop.
Yeah, but come on and be nice to you. So that's not making SRM look good, is it?
I don't need to tell you anything, do I?
Well, is that how you treat members of the public, just showing an interest then, is it?
Not really, I don't need to tell you anything.
Am I forcing you to?
I'm not going to ask where you got your shoes from. You don't need to
I'll tell
me.
you. Do you want to have a look at them?
Tell me, I don't need to tell you.
Yeah, I'll come and talk to you about my shoes if you want. I like talking to people, that's all.
I'm alright, mate. I don't need to talk to anyone.
You don't need to.
No, I don't want to.
I don't want to, that's a different matter.
There you go. I don't need to, I don't want to.
Alright mate, no worries. I'm going to leave you alone now because I can tell it's a bit uncomfortable, isn't it?
No, I can't talk to you.
Well, we could have spoke, but obviously you don't want to, so.
What do you want to talk about?
What's that show? SRM? What is it? What is it that you do?
I work.
Yeah, what's it stand for? Does it stand for anything?
No.
Okay.
Just a company name.
Alright.
Company initial.
Alright. There you can sort of sense the the level of professionalism, can't you?
We can sense yours as well. I wish he'd just get on with flying his drone.
You don't need me to tell you what the atmosphere's like here at the Big Brother set. So anyway, that's the ground tour. We've been up, we've looked at every sign, we've come down, we've got some staff leaving now. Polski? Oh, it's okay, it's okay. So from this point here, we've got a great wide line of sight. We'll get David up and we'll see what this place looks like from above.
At last, my favourite part.
So as always, we've checked on drone assist. There are no flight restrictions in this area. All we've got here is some sort of light show, searchlight display. That might relate to the strobe lights that are pointing up in the sky, you know, mainly for hot air balloons, helicopters maybe, but it certainly does not stop a drone flight.
It is technically possible for a strobe to cause frequency interference for a drone, but we'll put that point to one side for this video. He's also got that 5G mast across the road immediately to his left. I don't believe it's a significant threat to his drone for the technical reasons I gave earlier, but he ought to steer clear of it.
So, Garden Studios. Let's have a look at you then, shall we?
Oh, let's have a look at you, big boy. Or big brother in this case. Let's see what you got.
So, up at 50 metres high, I did suspect it all to be happening in this car park here, but I was wrong, so it must be over at that door where the guy came out in a rush.
Have a look.
No thank you.
Oh no, I want to talk to you.
No thank you. If you keep coming towards me, I'll defend myself. Stay back.
We've got several things going on here at once, so let's try and bring some sense of order to it. First, he's still scanning the private security radio and broadcasting it to his own viewers, which means he's committing two separate criminal offences. The occupiers also told their own security and staff to stay off the radio, though there are still some transmissions, which means he's disrupted their activities. He's now flying his drone, having taken off from the middle of a busy pavement. We're going to need to decide if he's maintaining visual line of sight during the flight. He's now being confronted by a security guard in the middle of his drone flight, which is not a clever move on the part of the security guard, it has to be said, but the responsibility does still rest on DJ Audits, and it looks like he's going to respond aggressively and is not going to make any attempt to land the drone in order to speak to this security guard again. We'll watch on and see how this develops.
Defend yourself.
Stay back.
Defend yourself.
Let's try it. Let's try it. Stay back. I'm telling you now, stay back. No. No.
Let's start by looking at where he is and whether he's likely to be maintaining visual line of sight. This is Waxlow Road looking towards the building of interest, and here indicated by the red arrow is roughly the takeoff point on the pavement, and the green arrow shows roughly where DJ Audits is stood now. And again, roughly speaking, this is his vantage point towards the building. He does move back and forward a bit as he's challenged by the security guard. When we last left the drone, it was hovering at about 50 metres over the building. If we look on Google Maps, he's roughly stood on the pavement where I'm pointing the arrow and the drone is above him. He then flies the drone a few metres over the roof of that first building in the direction I've marked with the yellow arrow.
So, up at 50 metres high, I did suspect it all to be happening in this car park here, but I was wrong, so it must be over at that door where the guy came out in a rush.
DJ Audits is flying the drone towards the second building. He's then interrupted by the security guard. The drone is roughly where I've pointed the yellow arrow. If we look again at the vantage point from the ground, I think he probably just about has visual line of sight from that position, but he is now being distracted by the security guard.
Have a look.
No, thank you.
Oh no, I want to talk to you.
No, thank you. If you keep coming towards me, I'll defend myself. Stay back.
Defend yourself.
Stay back.
Defend yourself.
Let's try it now. Let's try it. Stay back. I'm telling you now. Stay back.
I just want to look, mate.
No.
I don't do nothing. I just want to look.
No.
How can I look?
Hey, thank you for letting me know.
How can I look?
You've been warned.
Yeah, I'm just
Keep your distance. If you come too close, I'm telling you now.
Looking at his vantage point there, I'm not convinced that he is going to be able to maintain visual line of sight at all points along his flight if he does a flyover of the second building, the far building. I think he is above the tree line, but I don't think he's quite at 50 metres as he claimed. I think he's more like at about 20 metres above the buildings.
If in your personal space, you want to have a look what you're looking at.
And I tried to be nice to you earlier.
Nice, yeah. What's having a chat?
I'm talking. I tried to be nice to you earlier. I'm talking. Rude.
I'm rude, but we're having a chat now.
I tried to talk to you nicely earlier, and you dismissed me.
This is where the drone is now. You can see from his vantage point, from DJ Audit's vantage point, there's a tree there which could be obstructing his view of the drone, but it's hard to say for sure. He is at a fair height, about 20 metres above the building roof, I would say. But he is looking up at the drone at an angle, and he isn't. It's not as if he's following the drone at, say, a 30 degree angle or something like that in order to be sure of maintaining visual line of sight. He is remaining in the same position while the drone flies some distance away from him. To be fair, he is on the near side of the building over the edge of the roof, so it's likely he will be able to see the drone much or most of the time. But I don't accept he has full visual line of sight for the flight path all the time. I think it's very unlikely. That's apart from the distraction, which I accept the security guard started, but DJ Audits is the responsible party for the drone. What he needs to do is ask the security guard to wait until he has concluded the flight. He hasn't done that, and he really should.
Missed me. You was rude to me, so I'm being rude to you. I'm giving you back what you gave to me. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Zip it.
Don't need to tell me to zip it, mate. That's being rude.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. Zip it.
Don't need to zip it. Don't tell me to zip it, because I can do what I want on a public street if you want to play that game.
Yes, two can play at that game, but that's childish and it's not the point. He can't pester DJ Audits, and he shouldn't do so when he's flying a drone. Regarding the height of the drone, my view's changed again. I'm not convinced that DJ Audits has got that drone as high as even 20 metres. I think it's going to be more like 10 to 15 metres, but I could be wrong. The problem we have here is photographic distortion makes it very hard to even guess the distances, and it will appear farther than it actually is. I would say he's about 10 to 15 metres up, and I think it's very likely that the tree there, quite apart from the sheer distance itself, the tree there is going to obstruct his view for some points along that drone flight over the yard there at the second building.
And this is the level of professionalism from the casting. Well, are we calling you the crew? What are you? Are you a runner?
Can you please not film it?
Get
Don't give you
stuffed.
permission to film me.
Get stuffed.
Don't give you permission to film me.
Get
mate.
stuffed. Go away then.
Nope, don't give you permission to film me.
Go away then.
Nope, don't give you permission to film me. Can you turn the camera off, please?
No, I will not.
Don't give you permission to film me.
Don't care.
DJ Audit's drone is now over what looks like some sort of stage and filming set. There's a tree in the way, indicated by the indigo arrow. I think due to that tree, I don't accept that DJ Audits has visual line of sight at all points from the vantage point he has, which we see here. I think his height for that drone is somewhere around 10 to 15 meters above the building. The security guard is telling him that he doesn't have permission to film there, and the security guard is also stressing that he doesn't want to be filmed. DJ Audit's response is to tell him to get stuffed. DJ Audits is zooming in his drone camera on the set, which I imagine is a commercially sensitive area. Companies do have a right of privacy just the same as individuals, albeit adjusted to the realities of a body corporate. The questions are, is DJ Audits infringing the occupier's commercial privacy? Is DJ Audits committing aerial trespass with the drone? Is DJ Audits committing aggravated trespass? In answer to the first question, to determine whether there is a potential infringement of commercial privacy here, we would have to ask whether and in what respect and to what extent the occupier has a reasonable expectation of privacy. First, DJ Audits has been eavesdropping on the private radio communications of both the security team and the staff within the building, and he's broadcast these communications to all the world, and these broadcasts include what seems like potentially commercially sensitive information. Clearly the occupier would not have expected this of a visitor or even a journalist. The drone is zooming in on part of the set, which again the occupier would not reasonably expect. I think what we can say about drone surveillance is that the occupier should reasonably expect a drone pilot to capture general moving and static images of the building from a reasonable height. DJ Audits has taken this further and captured zoom footage of detail within the site. This is arguably a breach of the occupier's commercial privacy. Turning to aerial trespass, the 1977 High Court ruling in the case of Bernstein and Skyviews and General Limited recognised the need to accommodate the demands of modern aviation in that restrictions had to be placed on the rights that an occupier could have in the airspace above their land. The case clarified and decided that the rights of an occupier to the airspace extended to such height as was necessary for the ordinary use and enjoyment of his land and the structures upon it. Above this point, there is no ownership of the airspace, although drone users must abide by the regulations laid out by the Civil Aviation Authority, the CAA, known as the Drone Regulations. What this means is that occupiers do have a right to claim a portion of the airspace above their properties under the laws of trespass or nuisance, if they believe their right in law to safe and quiet enjoyment is being infringed. Section 76(1) of the Civil Aviation Act 1982 does say that there is no liability for trespass where the height of a drone is reasonable, provided that the relevant air navigation order has been complied with. Taking all this into account, I think DJ Audits is committing an aerial trespass for the following reasons. First, the drone flight is being carried out over the express objection of the occupiers. Obviously, this in itself would not be trespass, let me stress. This is just a contributory factor that forms a trespass. Next, the drone flight is not for a legitimate purpose that we could pinpoint and articulate to justify it. The fact that DJ Audits repeatedly flouts data protection laws and regulations in his activities and is still not registered as a data controller reinforces a lack of legitimacy in his activities. Next, DJ Audits has committed 2 offences contrary to Section 48(1) of the Wireless Telegraphy Act 2006 by eavesdropping on communications. These offences have disrupted the normal activity on site. Next, DJ Audits is not confining himself to general footage and static images of the site from a significant height, as a good faith, legitimate drone user would. He is instead now zooming in on site and potentially capturing commercially confidential information. The aim of DJ Audits is to be intrusive. The intrusiveness is not just a byproduct of his activities, it's the whole purpose, which in turn is intended to provoke the occupier and indeed provoke a reaction from the occupier. Overall, DJ Audits' conduct both prior to the drone flight and as a drone pilot show an intent to disrupt the normal activity on site. Trespass requires only interference and can be committed without even stepping foot on site. In this case, the drone is a trespassing article and is interfering in the land in the manner described. DJ Audits is also not likely to be compliant with Article 4 of the Commission implementing regulations in that he is flying the drone without maintaining visual line of sight, a criminal offence, which means he's not availed of the defence in Section 76(1) of the Civil Aviation Act 1982. I think it's clear that DJ Audits isn't compliant with Section 76(1) and does commit an aerial trespass. Furthermore, given that this is a surveillance drone and the disruption on site caused by DJ Audits considered in the round, I believe his drone flight amounts not just to a simple trespass, a civil matter, but an aggravated trespass, which is a criminal offence contrary to Section 68 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994.
Well, you're being rude now. I was being nice and I don't want you to film me, now you're being rude.
We'll let the viewers decide if he was being nice or not.
No worries, mate, I'm just asking you not to film me.
What's being said by the security guard, or whatever he is, about not filming him is a data protection issue. DJ Audits is a data controller whether he wants to be or not, and he's obligated to provide these people with the information required under Article 13 of the UK GDPR, which I show here on the screen.
Politely declined your request. Politely declined.
No worries.
So we can clearly see there. Let's make sure our onlooker doesn't see what we're looking at.
Oh no.
You can see the depth between the wall where they'll be walking around the outside with the cameras, etc. Nice and dry. You can see how it all works, and that would be the stage that we saw on launch night just there, with all the speakers around, and they've even got a bit of a lighting boom.
What drone is it?
Over the canal. Don't interrupt a drone pilot, my friend.
I'm just asking what drone is. I'm just being nosy. I don't know.
It's not a nice thing to do when you interrupt a pilot.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. I don't know.
As I said before, what DJ Audits actually should be telling him is that he must be left to complete the flight before they continue their conversation. Just as a reminder, it's Article 241 of the Air Navigation Order 2016 that says a person must not recklessly or negligently cause or permit an aircraft to endanger any person or property. It's an offence to contravene this. I think flying a drone while conducting a conversation on the ground with anyone other than a spotter is reckless or negligent. Whether it endangers any person or property is an open question that would have to be considered on the facts. In this case, there are no obvious aerial obstructions over the building. He's well away from the 5G mast and it is a lightweight drone. It's hard to say that anyone or any property is endangered. In any event, it's certainly irresponsible, because surely the idea is that the drone pilot should be in control of the drone at all times, and if his attention is divided by something unconnected to flying the drone, I don't see how he can be considered fully in control. I should also add that I think he has adjusted his height slightly. He's gone up to something closer now to 40 metres perhaps, and that may be in order to help maintain visual line of sight.
I don't know, I'm not used to people flying drones, that's what I'm asking.
Don't want to talk to you until the drone's down.
Which is what you should have done earlier. That entire conversation should have been deferred until the drone was back down. I'm going to skip ahead to the point when two more staff members turn up to question him.
I'm just flying the drone, and just give me 2 minutes and I'll bring it down, then it's safe to talk.
Okay.
Okay.
In fact, they leave and rejoin DJ Audits at a later point. Let me show you how DJ Audits speaks to the security guard.
Are you not going to answer me?
I don't know why you think you're entitled to anything.
I was asking you a question. I was quite interested about the drone.
You really think that you deserve any of my time?
No worries, I was just asking. I wonder what drone it was.
You really don't get the hint, do you?
No.
You're not welcome here, my friend.
Does he really deserve that? Based on what we've seen, I don't think he does. DJ Audits is the one who supposedly is conducting an audit. Shouldn't an auditor be civil and professional and polite and things like that?
You're not welcome in my vicinity. I'm just going to ignore you.
I was asking about the drone.
And I'm going to show people your true colours.
What true colours?
Your behaviour right now. They're your true colours.
I'm asking you about your drone.
You don't want to be filmed in public, no?
Yeah, please
the
don't
camera's
film me.
coming out. If you don't want to be filmed, move out of the way, please.
I was asking you not to film me.
but you were already filming him, and he is allowed to object to being filmed and broadcast on YouTube. Data subjects have a right to object under Article 21(1) of the UK GDPR where they have not given consent. Amongst his many other rights, he also has a right under Article 17(1) of the UK GDPR to require that you erase his data unless you can provide a justification otherwise. What is your justification for all this, DJ Audits?
So the gentleman that works for SRM, we've not managed to work out what SRM stands for just yet. Can't quite see the frequency that is on that radio.
He's now filming the two-way radio up close in an effort to find out the frequency it's working on. Really not a good idea.
But look, he's got a smile on his face now. He's happy.
No, mate, I've always got a smile.
He's
I
happy.
just asked you about your drone, you won't tell me.
He wants to be the star of the show now, look.
Whatever you need to do, buddy.
Thank you, we finally got there, didn't we?
Whatever you need to do.
Anybody that's come in here just to make a video or looking around,
I just asked you what drone
leave
you
them
was
to
using.
it. Don't do any of the stupid stuff that you've just been doing to me. You'll learn from this.
They haven't done anything to him.
What have I been
And it
doing?
will benefit the next person
I'm
that
asking you
comes.
what have I been doing so I can learn from it. So you can tell
You've
me.
had your chance.
I'm asking you now, politely,
You haven't.
what have I done?
No more of my
What have I
airtime.
done? Oh, come on, man, don't be like that. What have I done?
How old are you?
Tell me.
I think you need to grow up.
No, mate, I'm asking you a question. What have I done? Look, I'm not in your space.
Yeah, you know not to come in my
Not in your
space.
space.
You
Just
know,
asking
you've
you.
learnt that lesson, haven't you?
No, I'm asking you
Don't
a
do it to
question.
anyone else that comes. All right.
I'll do what I want.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, brother. Yeah.
Now filming something else up close that looks like it may be private. I see.
You gonna tell me what drone it was?
You've not got the hint yet.
No, I'll keep going all day, mate. I've got nothing but time. That's what I'm asking you.
Would you
What drone
class
was
it as harassment if you keep going all day?
No.
Right.
Because you're doing it all day, so we can do it all day.
I'm
We
doing
can
what?
stand here all day and do this all day long.
I'm doing what?
And that's what I'm asking.
What am I doing that offends you
No.
at the minute?
I've asked you a question, and you're not
What
answering me.
am I
But you
doing
kept talking
at
to
the
me,
moment
like,
that
I need to
offends you?
answer. So I can keep asking. How you filming other people that are working?
I'm trying to get some information, that's all. You know what I'm here for?
DJ Audits could allay their concerns and stop being hassled if he answered their questions and explained who he is and what he's doing. If he won't do that, they have a right to be suspicious of him, especially since he's been listening in on their radio communications, which is an offence, and doing that right in front of them. The harassment is basically from him.
Do you know what I'm here for?
Do you give him your permission to film him? There you go, you haven't got his permission.
I don't
He's asked
care.
you nicely. Can
Give
you
it
not
a
film
rest,
him,
man. He's probably a cameraman. He knows what the score is out in public. Anybody can film anyone.
please? He's asked you not to film
There's
him.
no right to privacy in a public place.
If there's no actionable privacy in a public place, then why is it that YouTube regularly remove the videos of auditors like you on the grounds of privacy? Actually, there is a right to a private and family life under Article 8 of the Human Rights Act 1998. I think it would be fair to say, though, that there is no blanket right to privacy in a public place, and there's no such right in a private place either, because even Article 8 obviously comes with caveats and conditions. But the risk that people like DJ Audits take is that a court may find that there has been an infringement of privacy, notwithstanding that the individual was in a public place. In other words, his understanding of the law and the statement he's just made about the law is not a complete statement. It doesn't actually reflect the true position, which is much more nuanced and complex than he seems to appreciate.
Are you stupid or what?
He's asked you not to film him. He doesn't want it personally, that's what I'm saying.
Listen, if you keep following me, I'm going to class it as harassment. There's your warning.
I sort of agree with DJ Audits there, not because I sympathise with him, but rather because I don't think this is a good approach by the security guard. Obviously, their interest in DJ Audits has a legitimate basis. and so it's clearly not going to be harassment. We'll come on to that in a moment. But I do think this is another instance where some people working in security need a bit of training. Having said that, I do find it laughable that DJ Audits can accuse someone else of harassment. It's not harassment of DJ Audits because the security guard is acting in the course of his duties in circumstances where I think DJ Audits would find it virtually impossible to defend himself on any basis in law. Just to summarise, he's used the zoom function on his camera to film people intrusively, and he's been continuously filming people without any obvious justification for doing so. These are people being filmed at work, they're having their faces filmed. He has not provided the information to which they are entitled under Article 13 of the UK GDPR. He's committed criminal offences by eavesdropping on their private radio communications, and he's now broadcasting this on YouTube. He's committed trespass and aggravated trespass with his drone and flown the drone illegally, it appears, by not maintaining visual line of sight at all times. None of this would be within the reasonable expectation of the occupier of that building. If he wanted to fly his drone over the buildings, if that was his genuine interest, he could have done, and he could have done it in the right way and probably without a single person knowing about it. Instead, he goes around telling everybody what he's going to do and deliberately behaves in an annoying manner in an effort to provoke the response he got. It's not reasonable behaviour from a visiting photographer, even one who stays outside on the public highway. To suggest in return that he's the one being harassed is pretty rich, and I think would fall on stony ground with the authorities. I'm going to jump ahead now. At some point the two ladies we saw earlier do come back to speak to him.
But I'm not going to hang around with these clowns too long. I don't want to be seen to disrupting anything that they're doing.
Is that your idea of a joke? You've just spent the last half an hour disrupting what they're doing.
We've come here to film. Are we going to be able to see what it says on that paper? No, he's not accidentally going to unroll it, is he? No.
What's he trying to achieve? Anyway, again, I'll skip ahead. DJ Audits is still scanning and eavesdropping, and he has just heard that the building is still on lockdown, even though they know the drone is down.
Are you really on lockdown because of me?
That's about the size of it, yes.
Yeah, the drone's down now.
Oh, is it down?
Was you the person that came originally?
I was, yeah.
It's a shame that you didn't stick around, because it went downhill from there.
Oh, why?
Just my experience. But
Hello, Tony.
a video from start to finish, my experience. I just show it to the viewers of what happened, and all I do is make videos of interesting places, that's all.
Yeah, I just want to introduce you to Tamsin, who looks after the programme. Obviously we've just got a duty of care to the people in the building. Everyone's feeling a little bit anxious and a little bit nervous about you being here. That's
on that
why
note,
everybody was asking.
I just heard that you've locked down, right?
Yeah.
So since I've heard that, I've told my camera and I'm leaving within 5 minutes.
That's nice of you.
I don't want to be an interruption.
Well, you have interrupted on purpose.
I want to innocently do my video from the outside on public land. That's all.
Yeah.
No intention of coming in.
The drone, where did you fly that? Because obviously that is private property. Yeah. And there are rules about where that can be flown.
The drone, the important thing here is the weight. So it's 249 grams, so there's no minimum distances to commercial property. Bear in mind, I do this for a living on YouTube.
Auditors always say that, but it's not quite true. It is correct that there is no minimum distance between the drone and land and buildings under the drone regulations when flying in the open category, i.e. with a sub 250 gram drone. But the drone regulations aren't the only consideration. We also have to consider the law of trespass, as I outlined earlier.
If it's heavier than 249, you have to stay 150 metres away from commercial buildings.
Yeah, okay.
That's the law. And maybe that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, so the concern for us is when you normally do this, commercial buildings, as you said yourself, it's quite niche. Because of the nature of this being a television studio, it will get a lot more interest and a lot more pickup. That could be a real security breach for the staff and everybody that we're working with in that building. So for us, it is a real problem. It's not that we're trying to interrupt what you do, and we really respect what you do, but this is a different situation to the types of buildings you would normally film.
Now bear in mind, I've done police stations, I've done MOD facilities. They've got the same concerns as you. They're saying if you publish this, it's a threat to national security even. So, and it still got published, and it's still not a crime. So the fact that I do my videos, there was nobody there in the gardens, so it couldn't have fell on anybody. It's no safety issue. That's the main thing for me. Is it safe to do what I'm doing? So if there's a crowd of people at a festival or something.
Again, I've had to mute some of that out because he's still scanning their radio communications right in front of them. I've outlined, it is very much a simple outline, but I've outlined the basis of an argument that in fact he did trespass with the drone, potentially committed aggravated trespass and breached commercial confidentiality in the drone flight. It's up to the occupiers of the building to decide whether they wish to act on any of it.
And like I said to you, I highlight a few things all the time. One of them is the badge. One of them is, are you using public frequencies for your comms? They really shouldn't be on public frequencies. Like people like me with simple Amazon scanners can pick your radio frequencies and we can hear what you're saying.
Professional security firms and businesses that employ in-house security will use public frequencies for their radio communications. Yes, people can listen, as DJ Audits has just showed, but the law says it is an offence to listen. And I'm waiting for the justification for DJ Audits to have done that and even broadcast those transmissions to his own viewers, also an offence, including some potentially quite sensitive information.
I mean, if you need to be secure, you need to learn from what's happened today. Now, anybody could come. If somebody wants to gain entry, right, like Ali Law did a few years ago, and he made himself famous. His subscribers blew up, yeah? If somebody's got that in their mind, I want to copy him, then you need to look at what's possible. Use the drone footage, look at the comments, look, see what people say. Oh, that's an easy route here. Oh, let's tighten up that. You just need to learn from it. You'll never stop drones going over of 249 gram, never. You just need to understand it is a thing of the times now. People do it with prisons, they drop drugs in and stuff like that. Prisons are having to deal with it.
That example does not inspire confidence. Are you saying to us that we should get used to it because people drop drugs into prisons? There are laws and regulations concerning drone use and also ethical considerations. To my knowledge, the overwhelming majority of hobby drone users do not engage in the same activity as DJ Audits or anything similar. They don't fly over active commercial and industrial sites. Not typically. You're not typical, you're actually an outlier, DJ Audits. I'm not a drone user myself, but if I were, I think my blood would boil listening to this.
Yeah, I get all of that. I do get all of that. I think it's when you're doing a running commentary, which I guess I know that's what you do. But we've obviously got a team that we've employed that are on the duty of care, and then you're talking about, and there's a runner going from that place to the other, and like they didn't ask to be filmed. That's what I worry about.
Yeah, okay. Garden Studios have decided not only to use this site here, but because it's too big of an operation, you need to use across the road.
That's not us.
Well, the runner went from across the road, yeah.
So, so I would say, I would ask you really politely, please don't follow that.
What? Don't include that footage.
Well, that's my main concern.
Yeah, and I'd like to reply.
They're filming people that haven't asked to be filmed, and doing a running commentary.
And this is what I'm getting at. Garden Studios, their employer, whoever the employer is here, I know you're just renting the space, but they've decided that this guy, some of his operation is there and some of it's here, so he needs to cross the public highway, and there's no expectation of privacy in a public place.
There is an expectation of privacy in a public place in these circumstances. If you or I were walking along a busy street, our expectation of privacy is minimal to non-existent. But if you're at work, you may well have an expectation of some level of privacy. Obviously it depends on the circumstances, but it just requires a bit of thought to realise this.
So there could be news reporters out here. Do you know the people that were filming the King's coronation? And they were beamed live. Everybody on the street was beamed live. They might have supposed to have been at work and they bunked off, you know.
Yeah, but
that's very different though. First of all, unlike you, legitimate media and news organisations take their privacy and data protection obligations seriously because they have to. They have no choice. They are registered as data controllers. They have self-governing bodies that provide a complaints procedure. They employ trained journalists and broadcasters who have a knowledge of the law and ethics relevant to journalism and broadcasting and what can and cannot be done in general. That doesn't mean they always do it right, and it doesn't mean they always act in a moral or ethical manner. They obviously don't, but there is recourse for people who are harmed as a result. Similarly, there must be recourse against you, which is partly what this channel is all about. As for the coronation, that's a situation where you have crowds of people. There's no expectation of privacy. It's totally different to this situation we have here, where greater care is required because people are at work, which means that if you capture their faces, they are then potentially identifiable on social media. And you don't even have their consent, and you haven't told them that they're going to be on social media. At the end of the day, this is about professionalism. You're being paid to do this, and you can act in a way that is broadly respectful of people's rights while still producing entertaining content. If anything, your content will probably improve. It just requires you to give that little bit more thought to what you're doing. You're just too arrogant and lazy to bother.
They're getting people in trouble all the time. If they're in public, they're putting themselves on the camera.
But I think it's a decision to go to an event like that where you know it's going to be broadcast to the nation, and just being at work and going for a coffee over the road.
Precisely, that explanation given by that lady is very good.
He's working on Big Brother, and he really thinks no cameras are going to be outside on the road. It's not. It's the public highway. Do you know if your other site, say like if it was joined and it was big enough.
There's no interest in the people that work on Big Brother.
You don't work on. I'm not working on Big Brother thinking I'm going to be in the public eye.
Yeah.
The real point is that it's down to DJ Audits to justify it. I don't believe he can come up with a convincing answer.
Nowadays, content creation, I'm not going to be the first one to do this.
I'm head of press. If I was bringing a housemate over the road, I fully understand the laws against paparazzi and everybody filming it. We would absolutely expect, if we were bringing a housemate over the road, it would be fair game for everybody to photograph.
Yeah.
People who have a right to privacy and who are not in the public eye do not expect to be filmed.
Again, she explains it perfectly.
Well, it's a decision for the data controller, right? So I'm collecting this data.
Oh, so you are a data controller. You are collecting personal data. Are we agreed on that now?
And if I feel that it meets the threshold to publish, it will get published.
Right, that's fine. All you need to do now is give them the information under Article 13 that they're entitled to, so that they can exercise their rights against you, and on your way back home send off your application to the Information Commissioner's office to register as a data controller. Then we're all sorted.
And at the moment, he's got himself involved in Big Brother, and Big Brother have decided that a part of your working day is to cross this public highway. So who's at fault? You've put half of his job over there and half of it over there. You're asking him to cross the road where cameras, dash cams, probably cameras on the neighbouring businesses.
I'm not convinced, sorry. You're trying to put the onus on them when the responsibility for compliance is actually yours.
I completely disagree with that. I know a lot about privacy law, and I completely disagree with your argument on that.
I completely disagree with him as well, so that makes two of us.
Do you believe there's an expectation of privacy in a public place?
Do you know what? We didn't come here to get into it. We came to appeal.
I know, sorry.
And all I'm just saying is please just think about the people that are working under our duty of care. That is all I've come out to ask you. When you're publishing your content, I know what you're trying to do, I know what you're trying to get, and I totally get why you wanted the Big Brother house, but if you just could please think about the other people that haven't asked to be part of that, please just avoid that. That is all I've just come to ask.
And I would finish the conversation saying that the people that have behaved in a less professional manner today, if given the decision, they would also like to be excluded from the video. So if we give everybody the choice, would you like to be included or excluded? They're all going to ask to be excluded.
Of course they are, because they know you're a nutcase.
But I have to make a decision on whether it's right to publish their image.
I know.
Yeah. He is entitled to make that decision, but here's the thing. In order to give effect to that decision, he has to allow these people their rights, which means giving them the information required under Article 13.1 and explaining their rights as required by Article 13.2. Otherwise, the whole thing is entirely one way.
Oh, we've got no control over your footage.
Yeah.
So I'm just come out just to ask. Just you know, the just the kind of humane side of you, just to think about the people that we've employed, and that is all I'm going to have to go back in.
But please do. I'm leaving now, so I'll be off.
Thank you.
I would make your comms a bit more secure. One of them is secure, one of them's not.
Okay.
I've heard diary room, I've heard where are you, but it's just stuff you don't want people to know. What's that? I'll tell you why I'm reluctant. because some people have actually shown a bit of aggression towards me and come in my personal space, and I was very close to defending myself, right? Now, if these people get a head start where it's being published, complaints can go in sooner than they would normally happen. Now, the worst case scenario of a complaint for me is YouTube remove the video. So I'd rather it be removed after I've had a lot of views on it and got my financial reward from YouTube. So that's why I'm reluctant to tell you where it's going, because it will give him a head start to put in his complaint.
I think you all knew that was coming. He promised earlier that he would provide that information, and he has no justification at all for not doing so. If DJ Audits has concerns for his safety, he could at least provide the name of his channel that he'll be broadcasting the footage on. He shouldn't be going about this in such a way that would raise concerns for his safety anyway. I've outlined what the requirements are for privacy and data protection, which he just ignores.
You can't put in a complaint until a video is published anyway.
A very good point, but this man wants to make money. At some point, DJ Audits became a caricature of himself, and his channel became a product which started earning him large sums of money. He's not going to give that up willingly.
But if he's subscribed and notification bell on, as soon as I publish it, he'll put the complaint in within hours. It then shortens the amount of time my video is on there for me to earn my reward. If he sees it a few days later...
You share it with me, because I'm the head of press and I just want to have an eye on it for...
I can't trust that your relationship with him is closer than I know, and you might tell him the channel, give him a head start. If everybody was great, I've just been shown around one place, I've just been given a tour. The bloke says, I think I know what's going on here, this is my chance to actually promote the business, and I've just been given a tour. He got all the information, he's subscribed already. But at the moment, it's not in my interest to tell you the channel, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Can't refuse to do that just because it's not in your interests. Sorry.
Thank you guys. Whew. Hope the next people to... Hello! Hope the next people... Just don't publish it anywhere. GDPR applies.
Sorry, I don't follow, but you can publish your victims' images and not even tell them where, and not even tell them who you are. Does the GDPR apply to you too, or not?
I hope the next people to come and visit you guys, you have learnt something from today. Just keep your eyes on them. Do not do these silly intimidation tactics like you there did and you there did. The viewers will see what happened, and hopefully people will have a much better experience next time. So I've heard you're on lockdown, so I'm going to make my exit now, guys. And I'll tell the viewers that if you have enjoyed that video, do give it a thumbs up for me, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye bye for now.
A cheer goes up in the Big Brother house as DJ Audits makes his exit. Don't forget to give him a thumbs down. Big Brother is voluntary. The people they film have asked to be filmed. The real Big Brother in this video was the man behind the camera. There are much better ways to educate people than antagonise them. It's negative and not conducive to people actually wanting to learn and understand about photography rights. Not that DJ Audits is upholding photography rights anyway. He doesn't even know the basics of the law. Auditors complain about tyrants, but it seems to me that if you go around with a camera filming people who don't want to be filmed under the threat that their faces will be identified to thousands on social media, and often in a way designed to make them look foolish, then you are the real tyrant.